Hello. Welcome back to the Smoilers Cup Season 3 Week 0 Draft Recap. I'm one of your hosts, Smiles, the commissioner of the league, and I'm here with Coach AJ. How you doing, man?
It is amazing outside right now, and I am ready to dive deep into Smoilers Cup Season 3. I have been waiting forever for this.
It is right before we do this, let's get over the rules real quick. So as you can see here, this is a 6v6 metronome battle league hosted on Pokemon Showdown, obviously. Before the season started, we did a snake draft to see what Pokemon we get to be playing with each week. We drafted 6 main Pokemon and 3 benches to be 9 Pokemon in total.
Throughout the 6 weeks, every team will play each other one time, and at the end, we have a Rivals Week. After Rivals Week, all the teams are placed in a playoff bracket to fight to be crowned as the Smoilers Cup champs.
And those are your rules. Now let's go on and to see what each team drafted. Our first team here is the Mad Hatters, coached by Venna, with their team of Poltergeist, Hatterene, Sinisty, Haunter, Shuppet, Alcremie, and their bench of Gallade, Gardevoir, and Happiny. AJ, what's your thoughts about this team?
Okay, so before the season started, I was very, very nervous about this team because they have the first overall pick. And I was terrified that they were going to take. They could have taken Mew, they could have taken Jirachi, Dragonite, all these strong Pokemon. But, you know,
There's so many Pokemon they could have taken.
and I wasn't really expecting them to go for Poltegeist. And it really killed Mighty.
Yeah, it really hurt his team, which you'll see later on. It really hurt his team planning in the end.
The highlights, or the really highs of this team is that they have lots of Pokemon with Cursed Body, which is a broken ability in this league. As if Metronome hits them, there's a slight chance that the Pokemon that use the move will be disabled, and it will force them to either switch out or struggle, which is not very fun to fight against, especially if there's 3 Pokemon with that ability. They have a lot of potential. Their bench is really good with Gallade and Gardevoir, and I think they need some playing time this season for sure. And the ghost types are super duper good in this league because there's tons of normal type moves, tons of fighting type moves that won't hit the ghost types.
Ghost type having the most immunities as well, being immune to 2 out of the 18 types. Which is definitely insane, considering if you can't pick your move, you have no idea if you're going to be hitting this thing for even any damage at that point.
Okay, you want to move on to the second team?
Yeah, let's move on to the next team. Voyant, one of our 2 new teams added to the league this year, coached by Andy, with their team of Grimmsnarl, Gengar, Weavile, Berserker, Slowking, Florges, and their bench of Swallow, Gothitelle, and Arboliva. This is one of my favorite teams in the league. How about you? What are your thoughts about this?
Okay, well, this all-star duo, they have Gengar and Grimmsnarl, who are rumored to be the best Pokemon to select in Metronome battles because of their abilities.
Gengar being the MVP of Season 1 as well, and Grimmsnarl having championship experience both years it's been in the league.
It's very scary knowing that I have to go up against this team, just because, they also have Berserker, who is the clutchest Pokemon in this league. And, Weavile's very fast, and physical attack is really high. Florges has great special defense. Slowking, he's a guy. He's great. We love him.
This team has a bunch of
former member of my team, Arboliva, going up against me now, so that's a little scary.
Coming off its season-ending injury last year, this will be the first time it actually gets to play in this league.
Quite exciting to see them return. They're compared to the Houston Texans, and their projected overall this season is an 83.
Which is really solid considering your average is roughly around 80, so you want to be above that mark, and Voyant hits that just perfectly. But however, one team that might not get too far, however, can still do very good is our third team and second new team, Grimlight. They're coached by Cal, and their team is Ursaluna, Dusclops, Chansey, Clefable, Lilligan Hisuian, Mr. Rhyme, and their bench of Granville, Alolan Graveler, and Palmont. Now I know you were very much questioning one of these picks, and I wanted you to let your thoughts out.
I don't know everything about Pokemon, you know. I'm a traveler. I don't really study like I should. But I was very confused that they took Graveler over Golem because Golem was still available to be drafted. And I feel like, you know, the second stage evolution is better than the first stage evolution. So I was very confused about that. But besides that, this team is great. Ursaluna's a powerhouse. Dusclops is built for defense. It's great, you know. Clefable, you know. I mixed up Clefable and Chansey.
Either way, they both are very bulky in their own sense, and that's pretty much a theme with his entire team, as well as having heavy hitters such as that Ursaluna and that Palmont, Mr. Rhyme. They're all heavy hitters.
Hisui and Lilligan too. I'm surprised to see Mighty not getting them this year. It was great to see Mighty having this Pokemon last year, as it performed really well for them. But
Lilligan is dark horses for an MVP kind of run.
Yep.
But now, our next team over here is going to be the aforementioned Mighty, one of the strongest teams in the league, coached by one of the greatest coaches of this league, of this era, Mighty. And their team of Dusknoir, Annihilate, Sableye, Banette, Galarian Slowking, Azumarill, and their bench of Muck, Magmortar, and Politoed. This is one of the most terrifying teams in this entire league, not even close. It has so many ghost types as mentioned before. What are your thoughts?
I'm completely agreeing with you. I am absolutely terrified of this T-list team. They've lost their star franchise mascot, but they still seem to be relatively, like, threatening. Like, I did not expect them to lose their mascot, but it honestly has seemed to pay off as their team looks really strong. Like, Sableye with Prankster is going to be good. You know, we have
if he decides to use it.
We have, like, huge power on Azumarill is really good. Like, all these abilities, if they're used, this team can go far. Yep.
And undercover ability pressure on that Dusknoir, limiting the amount of PP that you really have on your metronomes, causing you to eat your Lepa berries early. It is going to be a threat if you forget about it.
The only, like, really, like, mid thing that I've seen about this team is that it's not really, like, a quick team besides Sableye. So without Sableye, the team is pretty slow, so it will not be moving first most of the time. But they have really good defenses. Like, there's really well-rounded apart from speed, so they should be able to tank the hits and throw back some more.
Mighty is a very well-rounded team. Just that one weakness, hence why it's being compared to the San Francisco 49ers at their 82 overall position. They're a good team, but they might not even top your team, the Pallet Town Punks. How about you take this one away?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because I could go on for an hour. But my draft consisted of Dragonite with the first pick, Iron Hands with the second, Monkey Dory with the third, Iron Valley with the fourth, Toxtricity with the fifth, and Grafai with the sixth, followed by my bench being Golem, Scrafty, and of course, Pickles the Psyduck. It was a very spontaneous thought to draft Pickles, but besides the point, we have 4 powerhouses offensively, and we have a rotating leadout spot that is going to help us hopefully dominate on the offense. The only bad things about my team that I've really, like, noticed is that my defenses aren't really standing out as much as they should be. And, you know, Psyduck, he's just here for the vibes. He doesn't battle. He's our water boy. He's our cheerleader. He's the team hype man, you know? And we gotta love it.
This team is obviously a hyper offensive monster with the Iron Valley and Iron Hands and Monkey Dory, but it also, even though you said it doesn't have that much defense, you still got freaking Dragonite out there, 600 base stats all across the board. It is going to be taking hits.
You
This
know
is
it.
the biggest threats we've ever seen in this league.
This team is compared to the Boston Celtics with a projected overall of 88.
Tied for the second high, tied for the highest in the league.
Yep.
However, there is still one team that is tied with them, and that right there is Food. Drafted by Azzy. You might have noticed that we haven't talked about Mew and Jirachi. Well, that's because they managed to fall to this team with the back-to-back picks, Mew, Jirachi, as well as their supporting cast of Togekiss, Miltank, both indeed male and female, and a bench of Tinkaton, Delphox, Screamtail. How did you and the other coaches let this happen right here, AJ? How did this happen?
Okay, so I was the pick before them, and I was set in stone on picking Dragonite, as I thought Jirachi and Mew weren't gonna fall. So I was looking at the draft board, and I was looking at my picks, and I was like, huh. I didn't add Jirachi and Mew on my board, as I said, because I didn't think they were gonna fall so low. But they did, and because of how the snake draft works, Food had back-to-back picks. Roll the clip. And, okay, 3, 2, 1. So as you can see here, we all really messed up, and I'm terrified. This is the scariest team in the league without a doubt. Their bench is amazing, more amazing than their starting lineup, as they have Screamtail, Delphox, and Tinkaton, which they're terrifying, and they should have been first round picks. I don't even know how we let them slide. But besides the point, this team is so well built, and the only cons I really see is that indeed they're not really that good, and Miltank, he's okay. We love him. But besides the point, this team is compared to the Milwaukee Bucks with the projected overall of 88, tied with the Punks for the highest overall. Do you want to take it away, Smiles?
I will. Showing off the final team that I personally root for, the Brooklyn Rest, coached by your coach, Smiles Smoiler. We are different people. Please stop mixing us up. We don't like it. But however, the team that was drafted was Snorlax, Alolan Mach, Blissey, Ludicolo, Lucario, Munchlax, coming out of college with the highest hype in the entire league, with a bench that might be even stronger than the starting lineup of Slacking, Slowbro, and Slurpuff. Now, I have a lot of thoughts about this team. I want you to see. What do you think about this?
I like on how the bench all rhymes. We got Slacking, Slowbro, and Slurpuff. But anyway, this team has always been known to kill in the playoffs. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is the team that has won the past 2 Smiles Cup champions.
You do not want to catch this team hot in the playoffs, because while Snorlax and the rest of the crew, they might be okay during the regular season, during the playoffs, Snorlax just becomes like prime LeBron James and happens to dominate the entire playoffs, winning 2 out of the 2 Smoilers Cups that has happened, as this team is very hungry for a 3rd championship.
I'm also super terrified of this team. This team was the reason my team lost last year, so I'm hopefully gonna take my revenge when it comes to the playoffs. But besides that, this team has had mediocre regular seasons, going 1-6 during the first season and 2-4 during the second. They also aren't starting over Smoily, which
being at least 1-time champion, possible 2 times. We haven't looked at the rankings, but Smoily just coming straight out of there, wanting to be on the team with Les Smoils. They both wanted to play together, so the coach put them in the lineup together. However, Smoily is on the hot seat and possibly could have their roster slot taken by home later in the season if it comes to that. But the fact that they aren't means they might drop a couple games before that happens. Overall, they are being compared to the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers at an 86 overall, 2nd highest, I believe, right? Or
believe so.
Technically, how you see
Yep.
it. But alas, those are your teams competing in the Smoilers Cup. Here are some playoff brackets. Here is my bracket. I have Azzy going in the 1 seed. When you have 2 mythicals, it's basically hard to not go in the 1 seed. It's basically guaranteed. As well as that, I have your Palatown Punks. I have Mighty in the 3rd, Grimlight 4th, the Brooklyn Rest in the 5th, Voyant 6th, and sadly, since somebody did have to be last, I put the Mad Hatters in there. When we move on to our semifinals, I have Brooklyn Rest beating Grimlight, Mighty beating Voyant, and Punks beating Mad Hatters, only having one technical upset. 4th, 5th seed, might as well be the same thing anyway. But I have a major upset in Rests beating Food. As we said, they are very hot in the playoffs. But I also have Mighty sadly beating AJ and the Punks. But however, unlike the past couple of years, I do sadly have my team making it to the finals and winning it all. Now, how about we go to your bracket, AJ?
Okie dokie. You know, I'm not biased at all, but I really want my team to win. I think they have it in them this year. They're out for revenge and they're hungry for at least one Smoilers Cup. So, my bracket has Food at the 1, my team, the Palatown Punks, at 2, the Mighty at 3, the Rest at 4, Grimlight at 5, Voyant at 6, and the Mad Hatters at 7. Solely because I think they were lacking bulk, and starting pre-evolutions I don't think is gonna skyrocket them in the seeding. So somebody had to be down there. Besides the point, I have the Punks over them in the first round. Then I have Voyant beating Mighty solely because I think Gengar and Grimmsnarl are such a dominant force to be reckoned with. Grimlight and Rest, I have the Rests because you cannot stop them in the playoffs. And then when it comes to the semifinals, I have Food beating them solely because their mythicals are ridiculous. What are you gonna do against Mew and Jirachi? They're so well-rounded, 100 base stats in every single category. They are not. You should not mess with them. That's all I'm gonna say. And then I have the Punks beating Voyant. And then, this was very up for debate for me because I don't know how my team is gonna beat 2 mythicals, but I think my team is built offensively really well, and I think it can kind of counter their well-rounded, I don't know how to word it. Hyper offense can just blow through any team. Yep. And I think that's why I mainly put them over, or put my Punks over Food. And I think it'll probably go to game 3. Because, I don't know if we really have what it takes in the playoffs. And I was debating about getting out to Voyant as well. But something feels right about this.
This seems like it's going to be your year.
Hopefully.
As well as it could be any team's year. Make sure to also go down in the comments, say, what team do you really want to win? But with that, that is going to be the conclusion of the Week 0 draft recap video for Smoilers Cup Season 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, AJ, for being here. And I hope to see you all for the Week 1 video coming out later this week. Have a great rest of your night. And adios, a freaking amigos.